Right, so now we're going to take a look at page 33, and we have already done the sum, so now we're going to look at product. So product mathematically means multiply. So we're finding the product of this times this, so this means multiply. So again, just like we've done before, we're going to break this down. And again, if you do not know your multiplication facts, you're going to go ahead and use the calculator, check prime numbers. So we're going to do 2. So this is going to be 2 times 25. Break that down again, 5 times 5. Here, you're going to break 4 down. It's going to be 2 times 2. All right, now I'm going to rewrite it out. So this is going to be 2 radical 255. So 2 times 5 times 5 times, and this one is 3. So 3 radical 2 times 2. Now, the only difference between the sum and the product is this. So you're going to write a note. Okay, so this note is going to be for the multiplication part. All right, this note goes like this. If I had x times x, what would that be? And you can look back on your previous notes to see. You should have said x squared. Okay, now I'm just going to put some coefficients. If I said 2x times 3x, what would that be? Well, you multiply the coefficients, which would be 2 times 3, which would be 6. And you just said that x times x is x squared, so x times x would be x squared. So unlike adding and subtracting, you are also dealing with the variables. Okay, now I'm going to give you one more. Let's say you had x times y. If you multiply that, what would that be? xy. Well, let me put some coefficients there. What if you had 2x times 3y? What would that be? That would be 3 times 2 times 3, which would be 6, and then x times y, because you just said x times y is xy. So unlike adding and subtracting, right, when you're doing multiplication, not only do you do the coefficients, but you also do the variables. What that means for you is this. When you are multiplying radicals, you first do the coefficients. So that's going to be 2 times 3, which is going to give me 6, right? And then you do the variables. Now, even if the variables are not the same, so 255 and 2, the variables are not the same here, x, y, you can still multiply them. They do not have to be the same. So we're going to multiply them together. So they're all under the radical, and I'm going to put them in order. This times all of this, right? So in order, it'll be 2 times 2 times 2 times 5 times 5. I'm just multiplying everything underneath the radical together. All right, now this should be very familiar because now this is what we've been doing. How many cards make a book? 2 cards make 1 book. 2 cards make 1 book. Go ahead and combine everything together. So 5 times 6 is 30 times 2 is 60. So this is 60 radical. What do I have left? 2. Is that rational or irrational? It is irrational because it cannot be written as a ratio of 2 integers because that's not an integer. And also the decimal expansion does not, okay, terminate or repeat. And you can put this in the calculator and it will show you. All right, so I'm going to do another example of that just to make sure that you're okay. So looking at the next one, okay, so it says the length of a rectangle. And again, what does a rectangle look like? Okay, it's almost like a square, but it has 2 equal sides instead of 4. So if you draw out the rectangle, you're going to get the length. The length is the longer side, 2 radical 48, times the width, which is 6 radical 3. Now to find the area of any rectangle, it's the length, which is this, times the width, which is that. So I'm going to write it out. So that's 2 radical 48 times 6 radical 3. So the very first thing that we're going to do is we're going to break it down just like we did before. So we're going to break down 48. And again, feel free to use the calculator if you need to. So this is going to be 2. Half of 48 is 24. Half of 24 is 12. Half of 12 is 6. Half of 6 is 3. All right, so again, use a calculator if you're unsure how to do that. Can I break 3 down? No. So now we're multiplying these together. So again, remember to multiply. We're going to multiply the coefficients. Okay, so what does that mean? The coefficients are 2 times 6, which is 12. So I'm going to write 12. All right, and then we're going to multiply the variables together. And in this case, our variables are the radicals. So it's radical, everything under 48 times this 3. In order, 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 twos. All right, there's a 3 and then another 3 right here. Okay, so after you multiply the coefficients and you multiply the underneath the radicals, now you're just taking out books. So let's go ahead and take out some books. All right, how many cards make a book? 2. Okay, because it's square root. So 2 cards make 1 book. 2 cards make 1 book. 2 cards make 1 book. So there's nothing left in my hand, and you're putting all of this in the calculator. So we have 12, well, 3 times 2 is 6, 6 times 2 is 12, 12 times 12 is 144. So the answer to this one is 144. Once again, you are going to pause the video and write notes to yourself. The question will change. Okay, so you're going to get a question either on, because it's both say 14A, 14B. So you'll either get a product or a sum. And then your last question will either be area or perimeter of a contextual problem, like it tells you the length of a rectangle or probably a square or something like that. All right, so that's all you need today. I have 3 more questions that I need to go over, and I will do that tomorrow.